Welcome, Instagram. Welcome, Parade and Yasmin. We are getting started. It's Wednesday, another amazing Wellness Wednesday. We are coming to December. It's our last month of Wellness Wednesday. How incredible. Okay, notes are here. We are recording. We are officially ready to roll. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this Wednesday, this Wellness Wednesday. We are on a journey to going from woman to mama. So last week we talked all about conscious conception. This week we're talking about an Ayurvedic pregnancy. Next week we're talking about postpartum. So join me for this ride as we go through this journey according to the lens of Ayurveda. Now, if we've never ever met before, let me introduce myself. And thank you for turning on your video. It's so nice to see you. Hi. My name is Lauren Baptiste. I'm an executive wellness coach. I'm an international speaker, and I'm also a corporate well-being consultant. And so my firm, Acheloa Wellness, helps individuals break through the effects of stress so that they can thrive. So we do this by giving different types of mindset, tools, techniques, and powerful shifts to empower you to make the most of this day of your life. We are coming to the end of a hard year, and next year also brings a lot of uncertainty. So to this journey, this mini journey, micro journey that we're going to, shifting from woman to mama, is a special journey because a lot of people I know are getting pregnant. And so this is a really cool opportunity to think, how can I do this a little bit differently? Even if I'm at home, what might that be like? And so we're going to go through that together. And why this is so important, why this relates to breaking through the effects of stress so that you can thrive, is that a lot of times women are challenged to get to this point, or and by challenged, I mean working really intense hours, have really intense schedules where they're unable to find space for them. So maybe even having a conscious conception can be a challenge. Or we see, and we don't hear about as often, miscarriage. And that's something that's a real conversation where so many women so many new mamas or mamas to be experience miscarriage. And so stress has an effect on that. And so what we're talking about today is walking you through the 9 months with some simple ideas, some tips. Of course, every woman's journey is her own. And it's important to know that, of course, you want to speak to a doctor as it relates to anything like that. But what we're going to do here is just give you some ideas that you can think about as you're on your own specific journey. Now, what's really cool, according to Ayurveda, well, we know Ayurveda, right, has 3 primary doshas: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And so as a woman goes from woman to mama, it's really important that we link how is Ayurveda connected to all of this. I'm getting some beautiful feedback from a friend, and I'll give the PSA that Northern Lights are tonight. So we will go back to this other journey, but thank you for that. And I will be looking out the window later. Okay, so 3 trimesters, and they also align to the 3 doshas. And how cool is that? The first trimester is focused on Vata. The second trimester is governed by Pitta, and the 3rd trimester is governed by Kapha. Now, when the body is going through the changes, there's already a huge influence of Vata. But what you'll see as we go through is that there are some qualities that come in and out, come to play, so that they can experience the pregnancy so much more consciously. So let's talk about the first trimester, which is primarily Vata. This is where there's a lot of movement happening, right? In women, we hear of morning sickness and dizziness and feeling like instability. And what's really happening as the egg is fertilized and takes time to latch, that it needs stability more than ever. And so in the first trimester, what you want to do is pacify Vata, because there's a lot of movement as the belly starts to grow. There's a lot happening. So what's going to be encouraged in that first trimester is to stay grounded. So see if you can avoid travel, a lot of running around. Although we don't seem pregnant, right? We look the same. It's really important that there's groundedness happening to stabilize that vata. So it will be really helpful, besides just not traveling, because in quarantine, that's really easy, check. What we want to think about is gentle exercise, like walking and yoga. So from the first months, moving into the month 1, 2, 3, what you want to start thinking about is building your body, giving yourself the nourishment, the ojas, which we've talked about in a prior episode, which is essentially building that vitality in you so that you can give that to your offspring. And this is why, again, managing stress is so important as we're thinking about conception, because what's happening is if we don't have strong health, if we're affected by the waves of stress, and I don't feel stable or vital or healthy, it's really hard. It's giving the baby a challenge to come into this world. So what we want to do is make it as easy for them as possible, and they'll make it easier for you. So while we're thinking of things that pacify vata, slow, right? Slow actions, slow eating, slow activity. See if you can slow down. Ayurveda also recommends the qualities to pacify vata, which include heavy. So even foods that are heavy and foods that nourish. And so they call it like the cream of the crop. It's like one of the 5 most important foods is milk. And so the 5 byproducts of milk. So that could be really powerful: butter, ghee, milk on its own, buttermilk, and yogurt. These products are wonderful for the mama as she's growing. And think about it, like in the first trimester, you often hear women that say, okay, well, like I expanded a few cup sizes immediately. And right away, the body wants to start creating that first tissue, that plasma, that lymph, that nutrient, lactation milk for the baby. So we want to make sure that we're nourishing the body so that we can support the growth of our own body as we're growing a baby. As we move into the second month, maybe even considering milk that's more lightly spiced. And when we talk about milk, we've included this in a prior episode, but we can even link it here, is that we want the milk to be warm and spiced and ghee and filled with ghee. So really warm, buttery milk that's so wonderful for mama, that's nourishing, that goes right to the reproductive tissues and all of the other tissues in between. Now, as we move to that third month, we can start to continue to practice and move our body. It's so important that there's activity and movement in the body, but really doing things that circulate and stabilize. So here, maybe stronger asana, yoga postures. And again, not intense, but stable, strong. So a slow flow, even in prenatal yoga, doing certain postures like mountain pose or warrior pose. Notice how you hold them. You can't see my video all the way across, but you hold them for a period of time. Even a good downward facing dog can be great. You don't have to sweat a ton to give yourself the feelings of that stability, get the body moving, and feel great. So that's our first dosha. That's our first trimester. And even those small things can make such a difference. So first trimester, we're thinking about pacifying vata. So we could go back and even look at the article that talks about how to pacify vata. And I bet you a lot of those are going to apply right in that first 3 months. Here's our second trimester, governed by Pitta. So Pitta is our fiery side. And so I'm lucky, I mentioned this in my last post, my sister is pregnant, so I get to be part of this journey with her, and she is in her Pitta phase. She's coming towards the end of that second trimester. And in this time, a lot of fire came to play. You could feel and experience the fire in our body. So some heartburn that she was experiencing, even some fire in the emotions, some changes, some even strong emotions as it comes, because right now it's the baby's emotions and mama's emotions, and they're both going back and forth. And so there's a lot of things swirling right now that creates that heat. But now what you want to think about is, how do we pacify Vata? Because my belly's continuing to grow, organs are continuing to move, blood is continuing to reproduce and circulate, right? They even say when a mama has a baby that I think it's almost 2x the amount of blood, or 1.5x the amount of blood. That's, I think, the actual number is in the mama's body. So we're creating more blood, we're creating the placenta, we're creating all these parts of the body that have such an impact. And so when we're thinking about this next phase, how do we continue to pacify Vata, but now also manage Pitta? So when we're thinking about Pitta, things that can be really nice is some calming breath work, prayer, mantra, association to spirituality, connection, right? This is the time as you're growing the baby to really make that connection, not only to the baby, but to source, to really start to have faith in what's happening for the baby, to have faith in what's happening with your body and trusting that it's divine. It's happening the way it's meant to. Now, in this time, this is actually the trimester where mama can travel. Now, it's before she gets too stuck in that kapha, lethargic phase, and that time in the beginning where stability is really important. So if you're going on a baby moon, now is the time to do it. And so as we're also continuing this time, this is where we may experience cravings. So again, milk is still going to be wonderful, and spicing it with these warm spices like nutmeg or cinnamon or even a little cardamom can be wonderful. And then here, even yoga can continue. That's totally fine. And then now what you want to be thinking about here is, as you shift towards the end of the second trimester, is having a bit more slowness happening. And so what you want to be thinking about is really being sensitive to your own needs. So maybe there's this time where you were going to do yoga and your schedule told you yoga, but feeling into what you actually need. So really taking this moment to do even more restorative yoga, yoga nidra, doing things. And this is why prenatal shifts to a lot of restorative type postures where you might see like pillows and blankets and blocks. And now is that time to start shifting into that, because although circulation is still important and moving your body will do that, and a prenatal class will give that to you, it's also important to find peace and ease, because that fire wants to just come out in different ways. And we can feel that again, like in our digestion as the stomach gets pushed up. We can feel it in our bowels as our intestines are getting moved around. So it's really important to give the body a moment just to calm down, to settle. So the second trimester, all about calming that fire, the fire in the body, the fire in the mind. Third trimester, moving into kapha. We are blazing through 40 weeks in 15 minutes. Hang with me. So I hope this is really informative and is giving you a lot. And feel free to add any questions in the chat. And so our third trimester, it is definitely time to slow down. We notice that the body starts to feel the effects of kapha. Notice the baby is so big that we can't even move fast. So trying to force crazy work deadlines or pushing yourself to the extreme isn't indicated, right? It's contraindicated. What you want to start doing is slow, steady activities that help you be smooth, right? We don't want to get stuck. A lot of times you'll hear that women in their third trimester don't work out at all, don't move their body at all. And that's an extreme or kapha in excess. We don't want to be stuck, because what can happen is the emotions, we can be stuck. I want the baby out of me. I'm not enjoying this anymore. I'm miserable. There's some truth to that, I'm sure, and I can't speak to it firsthand. But what I will say is that it's really important in this time to continue to move, but slowly, but not to the extent we don't stop. Don't get stuck. Don't stop moving. Don't stop talking to friends and loved ones. Maybe don't stop working, right? We need to still do these things, but don't do it in an extreme form. Where you can start to reduce your hours if you're the type of individual, the type of mama that works 14-hour work days. And there's a lot of you out there that I speak to that have really intense schedules. It needs to start to come down. need to start to make sure that you're giving yourself the best possible sleep, that you're setting yourself up for the best possible few months ahead, because you know that the sleep will be challenged with a newborn. So looking at our 7th month, this is where we can even do just eat foods that bring ojas to the body, that bring stability to the body. So milk is still good here, right? It's still, right? We're thinking about vata. We're still vata. We're still extremely vata, but we're trying to prevent kapha excess. So that's why slow, steady movements is great. This is where even maybe some gentle movement is great. Again, it doesn't have to be intense. It could be more of a restorative yoga, a gentle walk, just some maybe chest openers here, because what happens is as the baby grows, everything moves up. So it might be nice to have some heart openers or back bends that they call them, but in a really restorative way. You could take a simple block like this that I happen to have right next to me, and you could just put it underneath your back and lay back, and really simple, or even just add a cushion underneath you. It doesn't have to be an intense back bend to be effective. Now, here's one thing that we want to think about for kapha is as we start to get towards those final days, we want to make sure that we're eating foods that are a little bit lighter in nature, easily digestible. So Ayurveda actually talks about eating like a thin, like a dal, a gruel rice, which essentially can be, and they have other terms, but it's not coming to me in different cultures, but essentially it's like either a very, very cooked down rice where it's almost mush, right? That sounds so tasty and exciting. But ideally what you want to do is eat food that's easily digestible, because when you have a baby that's growing in this 3rd trimester, the whole intestinal tract is like moved and shaken and pressured. And so what we want to do is make sure that we're eating foods that are as easily processable as possible, that move through smoothly and feel great. And then here, as we continue, again, now we're thinking about just moving the body. If we're thinking about yoga, maybe adding in some balancing postures, things that can help us feel good in that way. And then in that 9th month, what we want to do, continue to keep walking, keep rested, be relaxed, continue to do things for your body that will keep you strong and active. And so I've even seen things they talk about sitz baths, or this like yoni pichu, which is essentially preparing the pathway for the baby to come out by starting to oilinate the tissues in your pelvic region. And so what that will do is it starts to prevent tearing, and it helps from an Ayurvedic perspective to feel really good. And so this is where we come to the end of 9 months. And oh my gosh, you've been here with me. In 15 minutes, we've covered 9 months. So the idea is overall, we're going through a vata shift. The body is completely transforming, but we want to be mindful that there are other influences of doshas, vata, pitta, and kapha, that come to play. So although it sounds mostly the same, okay, I can drink milk, I can continue to do yoga, right? I want to be mindful that how I feel changes. And so in the beginning, I might not feel so stable. In the middle, I might feel more emotional or feel more heated, and that's totally fine and it's expected, but we want to know how to balance that. And at the end, if I'm feeling exhausted, what can I do to continue to move the body to avoid that excess kapha? So these are all options that can work as you're navigating your own personal pregnancy or plan to having a baby. And so I want to give a huge shout out to one of my favorite Ayurvedic mamas out there. She wrote a book called Ayurveda Mama. Her name is Diana Masla, and she has an incredible book that takes you from this preconception all the way to postpartum. And so her information is so beautifully, simply written. And I think as you're thinking about it and as you're on your journey, it'd be great to get more specifics and more details. But this is just a little snippet as you're listening, or if you're Googling and finding this in search engine optimization of and what's an Ayurvedic pregnancy and what are things that I can consider, or how can I think about it different. So as we come to our 20 minutes, wow, time has flown. I just want to let you know that I'm here with any questions that you might have. If you're a mama to be that's looking to start her journey, if you just have a question because you have an interest in women's health, reach out. You can find me at hello@acheloawellness.com. That's ACHELOA wellness.com. And this is an incredible month. There's a lot of things going on in the community right now. So stay tuned, stay connected here on Instagram, or if you're joining on Zoom or Facebook or wherever you're watching this, it's an opportunity to stay connected. One thing is I'm doing Ayurvedic health consults. And this is one thing that I got a lot of favorable response in November. And I'm actually going to keep it rolling for the month of December. So I'm going to add, we have a promo code and I need to create it, but I will put it in the blog. You know what? Let's just call it New You December. November was New You November. We'll call this New You December. And this is an opportunity to step into 2021 feeling fabulous because again, this year is coming to an end, but we have an opportunity to redefine this moment. And so I want to make that feel accessible for each of you. So if you want to sign up for Ayurvedic Health Consult, we'll do a $30 coupon, New You December. So I hope to see you there. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being part of this journey. Next week, we talk about postpartum. The following 2 weeks, we're talking about really stepping into 2021 fully because we got work to do. If we want to make it count, we got to really set that intention and make it happen. So I'm with you all the way. Wishing you an incredible week ahead. I'm here for you if I can support in any way. But in the meantime, blessings. Take care. Bye. Right. Amazing.